do you think this country would ever mandate like a 1.5 year service where everybody has to do boot camp and then you have to do a year of either military or digging holes for the Forest Service?
Oh God, I
think we could ever make that happen in this country.
It's really interesting because like I grew up with I went to a boarding school and I had a lot of Korean friends that, were kind of staring down the barrel of having to go back, and how many of them eventually enjoyed that experience, which
they have to do that there.
Oh yeah, South Korea for sure.
Same in Turkey. I'm Turkish, and we have a mandatory conscription for mandatory service for everyone over the age of 18, and it's like it used to be like 2 years you had to do it.
Yeah,
and let me tell you something. That is a fast track towards America becoming like literally the Fourth Reich. I'm not even kidding.
Really? You're scared of it?
Well, 100%. So I think there's two interesting things about
let me just say one thing. If you carved it, this is all blue sky, right? It's a blue sky. We're going to introduce a policy and we're going to change the world. Let's say, okay, that's the game, if you will. The policy, you call it like Give Back America Kids. That's the name of the program.
That was very good.
We'll work on
I feel like it doesn't roll off the tongue.
You did a very good job.
Give
that
Back
you
America Kids. And then the kids 18 to 22, you got to do 18 months, a 1.5 years, let's say 18 months. You got to do it. Nobody avoids it. Even if you're like physically challenged, you got to do something unless you're in a hospital.
Yeah.
But you really make everyone do it. So you do like 6 weeks of boot camp. You learn, maybe we get rid of this, but you do learn to fire a gun. You do learn to fire a gun. So this is part of it. This is how you get the conservatives on. Right? After I'm saying, you got to bring people into the middle here. Yeah. So you bring people in. So then after 6 weeks, 8 weeks of boot camp, every kid in the country, all different economic status, all different ethnicities, mingling together. Then there's a point where you like either say, I love the gun part so much, I'm going to do Air Force for the next year. Right. I love the gun, or I want to dig holes, or I want to be the DJ for the USO tour. Like whatever jobs, but the government can dig, they can do this 3.9 trillion. They can start digging the cable wires or whatever we have the kids do, like the Tennessee Valley Authority did under Roosevelt, say. And then that's it. That's the program. Could that ever happen?
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a really good idea. It's similar to what I believe the military is, which is it's a jobs program. It's the world's largest jobs program.
It is.
And it's the most successful jobs program. The only problem is the outcome of that jobs program is death, destabilization, destruction, and reinforcing our imperial power.
The military is not going away. Like it's not going away. So you're just talking about what's a way to improve this country?
Yeah, use the military
to build each other.
Yeah,
we're so polarized. We don't even know people who are poor. If you're rich, like we live in our bubbles of L.A., New York, Chicago, whatever. In many parts, like we don't mingle enough. So that sort of cross pollination is what the real goal of it is. I think.
I think it's very interesting because.
But how do you make it go? Go ahead.
Just to analyze it first, from an outside perspective, it's amazing because I think in Japan and Japan saw it first. Now the United States are seeing it. As human beings interact more with communication tech, which we're a part of, and just technology in general, they become more decentralized and young people don't have their lion in the spear moment. And in Japan, you had a condition called hakikaguris, which are basically shut-ins.
Hikikomori.
No, hakikaguri.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
You're seeing it now in the United States, right? We call them incels, essentially. They are young men who essentially live completely on the internet, and they don't have any interaction with people. And basically, they use the internet as an opportunity to make their own echo chamber, which enforces some really bad ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, a mandatory service program gets people out of their home, and it gives them a lion in the spear moment where they have to be their own sustainable people. I think that is really important. But I think what Hasan is echoing about the military being an imperfect vessel for that is true. Because I think, especially if we're looking at down the barrel of Trump 2024, the revenge tour, having millions of more people in the military could lead to millions more Trump voters. But I
don't think you would have millions of more people in the military. Like if you created like Homeland Security, you created like, Give Kids Back America department. And yes, maybe like
wait, give kids back America or give America back kids?
We're still working. We're
still workshopping.
All right,
we're gonna
play with this.
I think as long as
but you're training them. Let's just say you're training them in boot camp, but it's not just like, shooting the gun. There's other physical stuff. You're just getting people in shape. Like
it's like
to be soldiers, yes, but to be medics maybe or whatever.
It would be like
fit.
Rumspringa for American youth. I actually like it as long as it can be detached from the military. I think it'd be great.
I don't even mind if it's a part of the military. I just think that, and this is never going to happen. I mean, even Eisenhower talked about the power that the military-industrial complex had. But as long as, like, I want to also change that massive jobs program and its outcome from, like, boots on the ground military warfare, destabilization and death, to something that focuses on building infrastructure in an effort to combat the absolute inevitability of like a massive migrant crisis that will happen, and as a consequence of the climate crisis.
Is a whole jobs corps that could build that.
That's what I'm saying.
How
I
you
agree
can
with that.
sell it. There's so many ways you can sell it to people.
I don't know if you can sell it to people, but
I think you could.
American kids giving back.
Think about
What's
the
it
way
called?
people.
America kids giving back.
America
Again,
kids
I feel like we're not
giving
quite
back.
there.
Think about the way that right-wing media has been able to filter the Green New Deal, which is functionally what you're talking about. It's an infrastructure spending bill that focuses on renewable energy initiatives that literally is a jobs program with like a bunch of retraining and training built into it.
That's the evil one that turns us gay, right?
Yeah, and everybody only knows it as like, they want to ban cows and fucking plane travel and whatnot. And it's like, no, we want to
Do you know
build.
that methane farts are the number one polluter? Hassan, I've been told that.
I mean, it's not
I heard
the number
that on
one
the Fox
polluter,
News.
but
There is a little part of me, and I am absolutely a cynic, but there is a little part of me that thinks we are a little bit closer. Like everything's very this right now. That does think we actually are a little bit closer together than we are. And I do think that like just the idea of, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody else, but like one of the nice things about being like an actor is that like, you have to travel a lot. You have to go to different places. And like, so I've worked in Louisiana and I've worked in
name dropper
in Georgia. I don't know.
Such a name
Louisiana.
dropper.
Never heard of it.
Ever heard of it?
yeah.
So like, yeah, New Orleans is New Orleans. Atlanta's Atlanta, but very quickly you are in the South if you leave.
Yeah.
And the few conversations, and I definitely don't agree with the worldviews of a lot of people, political worldviews of people that I've met, but I have also found that in the conversations that I've had about this kind of thing, like one time I was on a golf course in Louisiana right after people started talking about boycotting Georgia because of their like heartbeat abortion bill. And there was a guy that was just like, what are you guys doing coming down here saying you're going to take the jobs out? Like whatever. We had a conversation about it. And I was just like, well, I don't know. I mean, if you look at it this way and like, you have a show or a film that's about like a woman taking control of her, like it doesn't make sense. You can't film that there. You can't do X, Y, Z in this. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like we are as far away when you get down to it. Like
You're correct.
A recent thing is that like you see it in LA a lot of like, nobody in Los Angeles thinks that homelessness is good.
No.
Yeah.
But the discourse, unfortunately, has people that both believe that homelessness is bad. Not like, I don't know, like I do not agree with Mitch O'Farrell and like how he cleared out Echo Park. Here's
the problem there. The right wants to just purge the homeless.
Yes, and that is not.
They're
that's
like
not, that's
they're
not
like
what
fuck them. Push them away.
Right.
Push them away from where we don't see them anymore. I mean, Caitlyn Jenner literally ran on that. Was like, oh, in my airplane hangar.
That
like I was talking to another billionaire.
Most tone deaf thing I think I've ever heard.
That's why, like,
unless you own a jet, and then
that random that random like
relate.
pinup lady got more votes than Caitlyn Jenner in California, which is hilarious. But so the right wants to do that, but then the liberal side, which I consider myself a leftist, so I'm like way past the Democratic Party. But the liberal side's solutions to that are basically to allow them to live in tents and eat from the trash, and then we look away. When in fact, the actual solution to preventing additional people from becoming homeless is, of course, control the market forces, because the housing market is the reason, because people are getting priced out of their neighborhoods they live in.
Kids Give Back America, build tiny houses.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Yeah. After they get out, they get into the tiny house
Hey,
part
Kids
of the government.
Give Back America.
Yeah, they build
Okay.
houses.
It's getting progressively better.
There?
It's getting progressively better. You're
But I
I
marketing
need
campaign.
help. I know.
Yeah.
And I think there is that part of me that like you're not wrong at all. It just seems like we all think, like, everybody, like Republicans and Democrats alike, who have to use insulin are like, man, this shit's way too expensive.
Data proves,
Yeah.
And
data
it's like,
proves exactly what
okay,
you're saying.
guys, we could do something about that, but like, let's, you know what I mean?
There are so many issues that are presented as like divisive issues
Yes.
that politicians
That are
run
not-
on,
that are not
they
divisive.
latch onto, that are not actually divisive. Roe v. Wade being like a super precedent, something that even Brett Kavanaugh admitted, is actually an issue that is not even remotely divisive. 75% of Americans historically, since the inception of Roe v. Wade, has believed that Roe v. Wade should remain the law of the land, that people should be able to have safe and accessible abortions, especially in the first trimester, and that the government should not interfere in that. And that is 75%. 80% of Americans believe in offering amnesty to immigrants that have been living here, and offer a pathway to naturalization to immigrants that have been living here. Ronald Reagan was an amnesty president. So this notion that like all Americans are super they're super anti-immigrant is kind of a weird one. I got to put a caveat on that. Obviously, like if you look at an entire crowd of MAGA supporters and they're screaming, build the wall, like fuck these immigrants, whatever. Like, yeah, certainly there's a lot of reactionary, there's a lot of racism there. But ultimately, when you ask them about the issues, it's like, do you think a fucking law-abiding abuela is like deserving of naturalization? She's been living here for fucking 10 years. Most Americans, no matter what their background is, going to be like, yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there are a lot of issues that we agree on. It's like, do you want fucking healthcare? Yeah. I do. I think that would be great.
Woo.
Please. And yet,
Well, also getting back to like you say, like people watch Fox News and they have media points. They don't even know the news. Methane farts are what's ruining the planet. Like in a world where, getting back to Kids Giving Back America, where you're getting exposure.
Wait,
and
did
your
it just
talking
change again?
points.
Did it change again?
What is it called?
Kids Giving Back America?
We were on Hey Kids, Let's Give Back. I think you need the hey.
That makes it casual.
It makes it
fun.
folksy.
Call
Yeah.
to order.
Hey,
A
kids.
vote on the Hey Kids America Giving Back.
I like it.
The congressman from Alaska.
But
anyways, you bump into people. It's the same way that like attitudes change around homosexuality. It's quite honestly, everyone knows a homosexual person. Like, I'm older, I'm 57.
Yeah.
But when I grew up, I guess you didn't necessarily know they were out, but they were there.
Yeah.
And it's just like this exposure of like seeing people who live a lifestyle. Like, who cares? Like, do you know what I mean? And so hopefully that would do that as well. It would expose you to lifestyles of like you're saying, we're not that far apart. Like, that idiot's wearing a MAGA hat, but if I asked him, like, can my abuela be a citizen? Like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, of course.
He's like, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what human contact gives you, which is why you got to get more sunlight, man. You got to get more sunlight.
I do agree with enforced like integration and diversity, though. I do think that that's the reason. That is one of the main reasons why like college educated people are more liberal. That's because they're in an environment where they're like exposed to other. They're in a diverse environment. That's the reason why urban landscapes also tend to be more liberal and vote Democratic. Of course, when we say that, though,
you bump into a diversity of point of views, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly. But when you hear that, Republicans are like, okay, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Like they want to continue segregation. Sometimes literally like in the Jim Crow understanding of segregation, which has already existed and continues to exist even in the North as well with redlining and whatnot. But that benefits. A divided America does benefit the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And it kind of benefits the Democratic Party as well because, again, they don't have to make any sort of
two-party
like,
system for sure.
Yeah. they can just constantly run on, the Democrats are really bad. And they are. I mean, the Republicans are really bad, and they are bad. And keep making money that way, keep the funding vehicle going while simultaneously not really doing too much. That inaction is like built into it.
On this?
Barstool?
That's where
that's where you are.
Yeah, that's
Once
just
you
I
find
just
out.
I get all my news from Barstool.
Yeah.
So like I feel like they
I go there for the pizza reviews and I stay for the harsh political commentary.
I mean, I think they're
I think I'm going to be honest.
center right.
I'm a little bit more informed because I do read a lot about. I read KFC's stuff, and he's like the Jets commentator because I'm a New York Jets fan, and I'm a degenerate.
PFD is
Did you grow up? You got a
in the
bye
city?
week.
Yeah, we got a bye week. I agree. I grew up a fan. I'm a believer that you don't get to pick your team. So I was given this mess. But
I'm on them under 6 wins for the season. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
But let's
That's
just
not a
rip my
bad
heart
bet.
out.
Just the numbers.
It's
game.
pretty
That's not a
nice.
bad
Pretty
bet.
good. Hey,
Sorry.
we'll take the draft pick.
They have
right?
one win.
We have one win.
Yeah.
We beat the Titans. It was great.
Yeah.
I think what happened to Barstool was I think Portnoy felt personally attacked as a small business owner.
Yeah.
And I think where a lot of progressives gave him shit just for his general demeanor, a lot of people said he was a sexist, and then he came back and was like, we employ more female millionaires now than just about anybody. Like, we have the richest female podcast. We created the richest female podcaster, basically 2 of them. So I think his issue is with just progressives and getting shit in his demeanor. But like, he has now pulled the majority of Barstool with him into being like very staunch conservatives.
He's petite bourgeois, small business owner, reactionary as fuck, and his audience is the lumpen proles. But listen, it doesn't matter what their like political perspective is. Ultimately, we are united on, especially when it comes to class, we are united on class issues. And that is what I try to hammer in regularly. Obviously, I don't excuse like racism, sexism, homophobia, any of that, but overall, like, it doesn't fucking matter if, at your workplace you have people that are Trump supporters and whatnot, because ultimately unionizing your workplace will still benefit every single person. And I say this all the time because, unfortunately in our 2-party system, people are like, oh, but do you want like racists to have healthcare? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. They'll be less likely to be racist if they have fucking healthcare. Like they got shit going on that makes them more volatile and more susceptible to radicalization. If they have some of their material needs taken care of, it's less likely that they're going to continue being as reactionary as they once were. So, that's why I believe in the universality of programs, and I wish that the Democratic Party would do more to solve some of those issues. But I do think Veep does a good job of expressing that lack of desire. One thing I wanted to...
I'm saying it, dude.